You're a caring teacher, but even caring teachers make some mistakes. You could have the best of intentions and go into school every single day with a positive attitude, and yet you could still make a couple of mistakes. So today I want to go over 5 mistakes that even the most caring teachers will make inside their classroom. My name's Elizabeth Peterson, and I've been teaching for 23 years, and I still make these mistakes. Notice I didn't say I made these mistakes and then fix them, because these are the kinds of mistakes that we just make on a day-to-day basis. They're the kind of things where we want to remind ourselves about them every so often and then take a moment to readjust ourselves. Now, before we even get into these mistakes, I want to make sure that you hit that like button and the subscribe and click the bell to be notified so that you will know when a new video comes out. I'm working hard to make these videos come out every single week for you guys, so I can't wait to share more and more and more with you. Okay, the first mistake is not making contact with each and every one of your students every single day. Now, for some teachers, this means making sure that they're at the door at the beginning of their class or the beginning of the school day and greeting each and every one of their students by name. And that's great. Sometimes that's hard to do. You know, we're rustling through our things and making sure that our classrooms are ready. What I've been trying to do lately is, instead of absolutely making sure I'm greeting every single student as they come into my classroom, is making sure as they're getting their things ready and they're transitioning into the beginning of the day, I make sure I go over and I touch base with every single student. I make sure that I say their name, that I ask them a quick question, that I just let them know that I know that they're here. Doing that sort of thing at least once in the time frame that you have your students in your classroom is so important. It just lets them know that you know they're there. And if you're really on top of your game, you're going to make sure that you also say goodbye to all your students as they exit your classroom. Now, this is where I really need to work on things, right? You know, it's the end of the day, buses are being called, kids are being shipped out of the classroom and out of the school, and sometimes I just neglect making sure I say goodbye to all my students at the end of the day. And so this is a mistake that I'm working on currently and making sure, again, it's all about reminding yourself of these things and making that readjustment so that you can really make sure that you're making contact with your students as they're coming in and then again as they're leaving your classroom. So let me know in the comments, do you greet your students every single day as they are coming into your classroom? How do you manage that? How do you make sure that that gets done? So let me know in the comments what your quick strategies are to make sure that you're touching base with your students every single day. Okay, here's a good one. Mistake number 2 is not fixing your face. A teacher friend of mine used to say this all the time when we were in staff meetings or curriculum meetings or PD meetings, and she would just be like, oh, I really need to make sure I'm fixing my face. Or we would look at each other and say, fix your face, right? Because we wanted to make sure that we were not being rude or disrespectful and sending off the wrong vibe to the people who we were with. But here's the thing, our students see everything, right? We are on stage practically every single day, and our students are staring at us. They are noticing our body language, our facial expressions. And so it's really important for us to remember that and fix our faces. This also means that when we're talking to our colleagues inside the classroom or in the hallway, that we need to make sure that we're in check with ourselves, right? We want to make sure that we're not making those horrible facial expressions or saying things that we really shouldn't be caught saying. You know, we deal with overload and curriculum demands and meetings and all these things that are so easy for us to complain about. But when we're in front of our students, it's so important for them to have that realization that we really do enjoy what we're doing for them, right? And we need to make sure that our entire body kind of says that and expresses that to our students. We don't want our students to doubt the reasons why we're in class and why we're doing what we're doing. We want them to really fully understand and never doubt for a moment that we love teaching them. So if you need to complain, which we all do for sure, make sure it's when the kids aren't in the classroom or behind closed doors or even on the phone after school. Now, I don't make this mistake nearly as much as I used to. And the reason for that is because I really became self-aware in terms of what I looked like and my presence inside my classroom. It's actually a huge part of the SEAL teacher certification course that we go over what it means, what your role is in terms of how you present yourself and how you have your classroom and how your students really see you. That's such an important part of building those foundations with your students and really cultivating the relationship with your students as well. These are some of the things that we might not always think about, and therefore we make these mistakes. But I'm telling you, if you really keep this at the forefront of your mind, it's something that you can really fix pretty quickly. And you might not realize how much it can be a problem. So just being aware of this makes a huge difference. Okay, the next couple mistakes have to do with parents. The third mistake is emailing a parent when you really should call. There are going to be times when you need to contact home, right? You need to contact the parents. But when you think about it, emailing parents can sometimes be misconstrued, right? When we're texting or when we're sending a text type of message like an email, sometimes that interpretation of what you're saying can get really skewed. And the intention that you have when you're writing it can be lost in translation. And that's never good. It can put the parent on the defensive if you're emailing with a concern, and then you don't have that opportunity in the moment to further explain what's going on and really have that nice back and forth with the parent. This happened to me just the other day with one of my students. They were in need of something. I had to call the parent, and for a moment there, I thought, all right, well, maybe I'll just email. This is a really quick thing. But then I started thinking about, how am I going to word this issue to the parent? And how can I make them really understand what's going on? And that's when I was like, you know what? Just call the parent. Just call the parent. Make it easier on yourself. And it truly was easier. Right? I got on the phone. The phone call was literally like 3 minutes, and we were able to have a conversation instead of just having the parent read what I was saying and try to interpret the situation. I was really able to explain it, and it just took care of the whole situation in 3 minutes. So calling a parent can really be the best way to communicate any concerns and issues that you might have in the classroom. So what are your thoughts on calling parents? I know that this can be a real stressor for so many teachers. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on calling parents versus emailing them with any classroom issues that you might have. All right, let's go to mistake number 4, and that is only contacting parents about negative things. You know what I mean, right? Someone does something, you need to contact the family, but then you realize that this is probably the first time you've actually made contact with the parents. You know how important it is to set that foundation and contact families with positive things that their kids are doing inside the classroom. And this could be a phone call, an email, it could be a note that you send home on a whim. All these ways are really important to start that relationship with the parent so that when you do need to call them about some issue in the classroom, you've already had that foundation and that relationship with them. And even if it's the middle of the year, it's okay. You can get started with these positive notes and positive phone calls any time of the year so that you can start building that foundation. This is one of the positive practices of a SEAL teacher and probably something we could all do a little bit more of. All right, let's go to mistake number 5. And mistake number 5 is forgetting to let your students know that they're doing a good job. Now, this may seem kind of silly for it to be a mistake, but it can, our days can kind of get away from us sometimes. Lessons can happen and students are working, and sometimes we forget to take those little moments here and there to let the kids know how they're doing and encourage them and motivate them to keep on going. And I'm talking about really focusing in on the process of students working as well as the product that they might come out with. If you're a creative teacher or an arts teacher, you know how important the creative process is. And building students and encouraging them throughout the entire process of whatever it is they're working on is really so important. One thing that I love to do with my students is to just leave them these little positive post-it notes on their desks. I do it randomly and I keep track of who I've already written one for so that I can make sure I get to everybody. But these little post-it notes can just really make a student smile. And I don't care if you are talking about 3rd graders or 11th graders. Students love knowing that they're seen and that their hard work is paying off and that someone's acknowledging the work that they're doing. And this could be anything like acknowledging how well they worked collaboratively with a group, how they shared their ideas, how they organized their papers, or even some of the social emotional skills that they might be showing inside the classroom. Self-regulation, self-motivation, helping another student. All of these things are great to acknowledge inside of our classroom, and the students really love it. So let me know in the comment, what mistake do you find yourself getting stuck in? Or maybe you have some suggestions to help others get out of doing these mistakes. Let me know in the comments and let's start having a really good discussion about these. And when you're done with that, make sure you head over to this video that I've queued up for you. I think you're really going to enjoy it, and I'll see you over there.
Up.